Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Virtual Sessions presented by the DJ Sessions. I'm your host, Darren, and right now I'm sitting, as always, not always, sometimes I'm out and about doing events and having fun stuff and being around the world, but I'm sitting in the virtual studios right now in Seattle, Washington, and my guest today coming in all the way from Boston. I just had to make fun of that and say that because we were talking about it. Pre-show, Boston. I got Marcie coming in today for the DJ Sessions. Marcie, thank you for being here today.
Oh my gosh, this is my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, super excited.
Very
Lots of
excited to
cool
be
stuff.
here.
Doing some new tricks and stuff with the show today too. I'm super excited
Yeah.
to try out with new technology. Always something coming up. Oh, you know what I did? I forgot to turn off the server volume. So that's always happens in the back end. Oh, you heard an echo of me coming in because I got
You're handling so many technical things. I'm kind of blown away. I'm
well,
just here.
a
So
lot of people think that this, and being a media professional in the industry, that there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that people don't know
Mhm.
about. Like before our pre-show, we did a pre-show warm-up. Then before we go live, I have to turn off certain servers, turn back on certain servers, activate Instagram, make sure the feed's going out to Twitch, make sure our marketing's going out, make sure it's all working in a matter of like 35 seconds when our intro is running.
that's pretty
Yes, we
impressive.
will. We are in the process of licensing some new music for our intro, so I know it's a little silent there.
Oh, okay. I was
I
like,
get,
something
no,
broke,
the
but
intro's
nothing
going.
broke.
I
Everything's
can't
fine.
type in with you and go, we're getting new music soon. Maybe we'll have some of your music for the new intro. I don't
Yeah,
know.
you also have to deal with a panicked guest.
Yeah,
So
no, it's all good. But thank you so much for being here today. With an extensive career of working with so many artists, and we'll get into this a little bit more in depth. But you seem to have a passion and a love for making music, pursuing music, doing music. What has been your strongest motivation? I'm gonna hit it right out. What has been your strongest motivation for pursuing a career in music?
well, I think I was born singing. Like I always wanted to sing, I always sang, and instead of talking, and um, it's almost like I couldn't not. Like I just have to. So even if I'm not writing and putting things out on labels or something, I'm always singing to myself or singing, when I'm working as a teacher. Like it's just how I communicate, especially when emotions get heavy or get stronger or get happy, really happy. Like it comes out through song. So I think it's all about a voice, like having something to say, finding the best way to say it, the most authentic way that for me was often through poetry. And then the music kind of gives it that extra emotion, right? It helps me
Is this
say
something
what I'm
that's
trying to say better.
Yeah, is this something that started at an early age, or were you encouraged, or something you just picked up, so I started doing this, and then pushed
Well, my
into?
my both my parents are very musical, so I was
Okay.
fortunate to grow up with that right around me. My dad had a band. He would practice in the basement. I'd go downstairs. I was really afraid of the kick drum. I thought that I was going to get lost inside of it, and so I had, I was very close to those instruments, but I loved it. I loved to hear him do all different kinds of music. My mom has a beautiful voice, plays piano, so that was just always there. The dancing. We actually found some funny cassette tapes recently of like some of the first songs I did when I was maybe two. And my parents, they're like telling me to sing, and I'm happy to do it. And then I'm kind of talking about how I want to go to the beach. And they're like, no, sing one more song. So I just made up a song on the spot about how they should take me to the beach because that's what I want to do. Like I just learned early, like if I convey it through song, people are gonna listen, and it's gonna have more impact. So yeah,
Yeah,
this
absolutely. Wow, the age of two. Okay, I thought I was young getting into the industry, starting at the age
yeah.
of six. But
I
unfortunately,
don't think
video
I knew it was an
cameras.
industry back then, though. It was just,
Yeah,
right. It's just authentic and pure. That like just
and
communication. I guess
you
that's what I'm looking
over
for.
the years have worked with a number of artists. I mean, don't need to name drop too many of them, but I mean, there's some people I'd love to have on my show that you've worked with in the past and all that fun stuff. You know, um, the collaborations, working with people in the electronic music world, do you find that you've made a lot of friends, or has it been more like friends in the music industry, or more just business contacts, career contacts?
That's a really good question. It's over the years, and it's been a long time. So I have maybe a core group of three or four people who I would consider to be true friends. I'll trust them with like giving me honest feedback on my work or helping me out, or I'll help them out, or, we're there for each other. They know about my personal life, but most of the collaborations were professional because most of them were over the internet. And so when I started out, it was still MSN Messenger or even AOL, AIM, and then Skype, and just sending files back and forth, all different time zones. And it was wonderful because I got to get to know people, and there's seasons. There's a season when I was very close with this person, we're working together, and then we maybe went different ways artistically, we stayed friendly, but there's something that happens when you really make a song baby together. Like you just feel really bonded, and then you always have that connection, even if you're not in touch all the time.
I definitely can relate to that experience because, before we waited for a lot of artists to come to Seattle and then do kind of a red carpet in person in studio interview with them. And it wasn't until 2020 till everyone, in my opinion, after being in video production for 35 years, people did not know how to Zoom and Skype, unless they were doing it in like you were Skyping, you were aiming, you were doing stuff like that. The general public didn't know how to do that, and let alone up and coming artists that weren't using that as a medium. So, lighting, audio, bandwidth, right browser, computer speed, all the tech wasn't really there.
Rendering files, that used to take forever.
All that fun stuff wasn't there. And to collaborate, whereas, afterwards it's I was meeting people online, doing interviews online. I kind of shifted the format of our series to more of a news-based interview platform because we couldn't have people come over to the studio and play because of Pandy. And the thing is in 2022, I managed to make it finally to ADE for my first time over in Amsterdam.
Oh, okay.
And just to see the people's faces of being able to be around people again, once again, being able to shake hands, meet people, and collaborate around the world of people that you normally just talk to, email, instant messenger, or via a Zoom meeting. It was just awesome to have that back. So, that personal connection you can build online can even exponentially is much more better when you can meet that person in real life. It's really cool. So I totally understand, making friends and meeting people from all over the world is different. And you know what it's like dealing with the different time zones. I mean,
right. I had a chance to meet some of them too, like when I went to performances, and that was always really exciting.
And that's what's really fun is actually finally putting a handshake or a hug, with someone. Like, we spent 6 months talking. Good to see you. I'm gonna go get something to eat. You're not just eating dinner over a computer screen and I'm eating dinner. What's going on?
Right. Yeah, we can have a conversation.
Yeah. After all of the productions you've worked on, though, and the people you've worked with in the industry over the years, what's the most memorable, or out of your list of productions you've done, the most memorable, the one that stands out to you the most, and why would that be one that does?
I mean, I think what stands out most to me is probably the radio program Behind the Lyric, which allowed me to not only share the stories behind the lyrics of my own releases, but to really reach out to vocalists and producers from different eras and even a little bit of genre crossing and get their stories too. And it really humanized the process. Right. I felt when I first started the show, I felt like vocalists maybe weren't getting the credit for being songwriters. Sometimes lyrics really meant a lot to people, but no one knew who sang them, or it became about, what that singer was wearing, or like the cool factor of something, as opposed to, I think a lot of the interviews on my show sort of proved this to be true. Most of the singers we're writing in our pajamas, or pouring our hearts out, and producers probably too, right? We're all just like at our most raw and vulnerable when we're in the studio or creating something, and then when you market it becomes just your persona or the hit factor. So being able to do that show and connect with so many artists on such a personal level, and so many people were really vulnerable to tell their story on this show, it made me feel a lot closer to everyone. It made the industry feel a lot less competitive. It opened the door for new collaborations, and I did that show for 37 episodes. That was many, many interviews, and just finding like the commonality that we all shared as artists. and what we really wanted for the world, and what we were hoping that our music would do besides just sell. People were really hoping it would. I can't say bring world peace because that's very dramatic, but kinda, right? Like how many songs are about love being the answer and about music bringing people together, and so
Yep.
That it was always a really powerful experience.
I can totally relate to that, especially doing a show, a live streaming show that was focused on just the electronic music industry. I saw in the beginning days, I would do a pre-interview with the DJ, let them play a set, and then do a post-interview, like a 1 hour. Here's a teaser of this DJ. If it was a local DJ, which is what the show was created for, or an international superstar, they'd come by the studio, do that. But when Pandy hit, I basically realized every DJ in the world and those that weren't DJs started doing a live streaming DJ show. And I'm not a DJ. Everyone always thinks that I'm a DJ, and I'm not a producer. I'm an executive producer, but I'm not a producer of music. So I saw it as an opportunity. I could have figured out a way to do DJ shows, but everyone was doing them. So you're
like connecting people, which we need someone to be above and moving the pieces around and helping us.
And what was crazy is that I didn't like your behind the music concept. These DJs were going online. They were making music. Producers were going online and they were showing themselves in the studio making tracks, but they weren't talking to the camera. Now they might talk to the chat room, but they weren't putting it out as an actual official show saying, hey, today I'm going to show you the dissection of this song. I'm going to tell you what this song means to me. And here's a preamble, or here's in the middle, or here's something I'm finishing up. And here's me making the song here, or here's a story of me beginning to middle to end of this track and what it means to me. Boom. And now you're seeing it released. That just, nobody was taking it to that level, which opted me to go, I should start taking my Rolodex and start interviewing these people, get behind. I'm not going to use your tagline.
Mine was behind the lyric. It's different.
But you're behind the lyric, but to get behind the scenes, what's going on with these people.
Absolutely.
And where I might only have them for 5 minutes behind the stage or in the green room, I now would get them for an hour and be able to ask some really in-depth questions, or even let them help to guide the interview. As you know, send me some information over and say, what would you like to talk about? What do you want to, and be current on information, past information, whatever it is, of course, with my own little flair of questions that I put in there. But, I feel so much more connected, like you said, to the scene, to the industry now. And we open it up to not just DJs and producers, but to all industry professionals. And even we're going down into hip hop, because hip hop has that turntablism culture. But, it's been interesting to hear so many stories. And you're right, getting behind, using your tagline of your show, behind the lyric, to do something is just awesome to help that.
No, I really respect that. Right, because the scene is only the scene if the people in it are making it so. And that's what underground has always been popular, is because it's very, it's driven by culture. And then, the usual pattern is it becomes commercialized, and then it sort of, becomes pop or whatever. And then there's sort of new ideas coming up. But if people, and this was tricky during the pandemic, if people aren't able to go out and they're not able to collaborate, then you don't have a scene. So it's amazing how people kind of circumvented that and came up, like you did, with these really ingenious ways of getting people to stay together and to say, we're going to create the scene that we want to live. We're not going to leave it up to the major labels or the corporate whatever to decide for us what's our musical passion.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons I love being kind of independent. Not that I'm trying to knock any of the major production companies or houses or labels or anyone out there. I want to work with all of them, but being independent, I can move as freely as I'm not getting an assignment. I mean, you have to talk to someone. You have to do this. I would feel so can't do like a straitjacket wrapped around me, rather than just be able to go on site to somewhere like AD, or I got invited to go down to Mexico for Dreamscape. I think it's called, be backstage, set up a whole media junket there, and, or just travel and be like, I got my cameras, I can be on the fly, I can go and jump in the crowd and, and do interviews and stuff. And
were you going to a Winter Music Conference back in the day?
Funny enough story. Funny, that's how the DJ sessions got started, was in 2009. Just a little back here. I was doing a series, a broadcast television series called ITV. And we had 13 separate shows approved on 12 different stations on the West Coast. Big series, looking for millions of dollars. And I had this opportunity to go to Winter Music Conference 2009. It's where I first met Dave Dresden and interviewed him on my show. And I had the opportunity. The person who got me connected with Dave was also Carl Cox's PR person. And I didn't know, for some reason in the world, I did not know who Carl Cox was at that time. And she had this huge press release thing, huge event that was going down with Carl. And she's like, do you want to come cover it, Darren? And I was like, oh, no, we're going to go do something else. We got this thing going on. I don't know. Found out later who he was. I like, how the F did I miss out on that? Duh. Next time, listen to the PR person who's working with one of the top DJs in the world and go. But anyways, yeah, the concept, I was talking with the guy I was there with, and he started talking about streaming live and wanted to stream DJ sets live. And I was like, well, I was looking into starting my own internet radio station at that time, or even streaming live videos for myself. And it was going to be like $3,500 a month for the server.
There used to be a lot more internet radio stations back then, right?
What's that?
I feel like there was like a window of time where there were a lot of internet radio stations.
Oh yeah, internet radio stations weren't too hard to set up. I had one going out of my house off my Mac G5 tower on my server, and I would put different genres, and it wasn't too hard. I mean, getting listeners obviously is hard, but I had one going, you know. And with that being said, I came back and I was like, you know, I produced this series doing live streaming with my broadcast show. And I thought to myself, what was the easiest part of putting that together? And it was the DJ section where I could say, okay, we're taking a commercial break right now. We're going to let the DJ play for 30 minutes. Yeah. I came back after all that footage and I go, I broke it up. And one of our genres we had was called ITV Nightlife, was a segment of or a series of the show. And I said, well, what if I just started, you know, got a studio? Well, I started this up in my living room. You can go back and watch these episodes too. It's pretty funny. My friend called me up one night, said, I'm coming over. We're doing the DJ sessions, put it on, recorded in my living room. The next week, we moved it to my bedroom, lights, camera, action, multicam, everything set up. I was doing local DJs for a few moments, and lo and behold, Dave Dresden was coming to town. And I called his PR agent, said, hey, I'd love to get Dave on the show. Would that be cool? And she hit him up, and Dave said, yeah. Dave came by, did an interview, and played a set. I had 12 people in my apartment. That's about all I could hold, because it was kind of a studio apartment. And I sat back and I went, wait a second, I'm on to something here. What if I got other people when they came to town? This is 2 years before Boiler Room ever came out. And I'm going, let's put DJs when they come to town, put them in a studio. Now, there was something called Groove Tech back in our town years ago. It was pretty big, internet streaming station. And they had a DJ booth out by the record store. And they would bring people from time to time to come by and play that. And it was awesome. And that was what our show was, kind of an homage to Groove Tech itself. But we did it in video. They were just audio only. I mean, they did have a webcam at one point later on before they went out. But I think they went out somewhere in the early 2000s. And we're talking, this is 2009. So that being said, I just started inviting everyone that came to town to come by on the show. I got a studio. Then I got a mobile studio, or a mobile billboard truck studio. It's really cool. You can see it on our site.
It's a really ground up industry, you know, like.
Yeah, and then
people
I've had
taking initiative.
Yeah, I've had other bigger studios on location, all that fun stuff, just building it up on this live streaming. And our back end of our series is a podcast series. Basically, everything that's archived is podcast, basically video, and goes on a podcast, so people can subscribe to it and obviously watch us live right now. If they're hi, mom, if you're watching.
I think my mom might be watching.
And and basically, I like the live aspect because it's what you see is what you get. Our shows will be done. I can edit them, put them up now with technology, put it all together and have it going. But yeah, that's the and get behind the scenes even more now.
I think social media.
I mean, if you were never coming to Seattle, what would be the chances of me being able to get an interview with you?
Yeah.
Unless we did it over the phone, recorded it, or did it like this. Yeah. But I just like that we expanded. And then in 2022, I said, let's get all electronic music industry professionals. Yeah, and talk to the promoters, talk to the PR managers, talk to the label owners, talk to the audio engineers, whatever. There's some insight that anyone in this industry can give that maybe somebody hasn't heard yet. And we're here to talk about you and not my show and my journey.
It definitely makes me want to dig into your archives, so thank you.
Oh yeah, 2,600 episodes and no, I think it's 2,700 now. And we're just getting ready to redo our website just launched in the version 3.3, which is awesome. You can actually, if you want to dig into something, go to the Wayback Machine and look up the djsessions.com and see what our website looked like in 2013. What it looked like in 2018, and then compare what it looked like in 2022, 2021, 2022, 2021, I think. And it's like yeah, there's been a progression of this, and it's just always the back end work of all this stuff. But speaking of breaks, we got big on Twitch before pandemic. We were out there, we're doing our stuff. We want to know more about you. What was your biggest break that launched your career and got you going in all this?
I mean, all through college, I had bands. After college, I was performing with a corporate show band. I went around the country. It was like a big, 13, 14 piece group with dancing and choreography. And we do like events for NFL and Coca-Cola and like fancy weddings. But I was doing my own songwriting, and I started recording for a producer in New York named Alexander Pearls, who he's had so many amazing hits. And the first song that I recorded for him ended up being kind of a hit overseas with AccuFace. It was out on vinyl, but I didn't really know about it until I started to get kind of some like fan emails or like requests for more work. And that opened the door to being able to say, oh wow, I can start sending some ideas out. I can find some collaborators, and then from there. I mean, the big breaks were probably just the people that believed in me. System Recordings gave me the opportunity to do some EPs. Different producers I worked with in the beginning, like Steve Birch, who just allowed me to experiment and helped me learn about the scene and the genres more. Having songs on ASOT, having songs on Tiesto's show and things like that were always. And that was kind of like night and day. You'd make a song and it'd be released and people would hear it, but then if it got played on the show like that, it was suddenly like a whirlwind of new requests for collaborations. And then just doing a lot myself, like pushing certain songs that I believed in, making kind of independent videos for them, or figuring out how to land gigs. Just keeping it rolling. So I don't know if there was ever like a big break. It was just sort of consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Following through on projects, trying to to live by my word, trying to look out for people that help me, just to be fair, to be ethical, like all of that stuff paid off. It maybe makes some things move a little bit slower, but it just felt better in the end. So it's always, it's just been
I can relate to
long road.
I can totally relate to the slowness or the procedure of making sure you're doing things right, crossing the I's, dotting the T's, and not just running by the seat of your pants and just signing anything away. I've just got into a conversation slightly on Facebook the other day. I still call it Facebook. Does that date me? Am I too old? Am I old because I call it Facebook and not Meta?
What are we supposed to call it? Yeah.
No, about the lack of, I wouldn't say it's not the lack of professionalism, but the lack of management or the lack of education in the environment that people aren't familiar with getting a contract signed, getting something in writing, putting rather than a handshake hearsay deal. And it goes on both ends, the artist not requesting it, but the management or the promoters or people not asking for it. And then you get this whole up in the air. I thought you said this, and I thought you said this, and I paid you money for this, and I didn't get this, and what anything like that is the business side of things. I'm very contract oriented myself, have been for 25 years, ever since I started producing broadcast TV shows. And I'll come to most people, and even just a personal release is out of their wheelhouse. It's like, I have to have you sign a personal release, because if I don't, and then you could take my whole episode that I put a bunch of hours into and have me pull it down. No,
that's something I learned early for myself was, get the books, read about the law, read about contract, read about your rights as a songwriter. It's not always about whether or not you're going to get paid. Sometimes it's just about standing up for yourself, being an advocate for others in the industry, making sure that we're all heading on a trajectory of more fairness for everybody, not less. So. And that was a lot of work. To make
and some people, if you're an artist and you say, okay, here's my contract, they'll go, we're looking for somebody else, and they'll go hire somebody else who won't ask. It's like, why aren't you? And if that just screams Danger Will Robinson all over to me, like now that probably really just dated myself. Well, no, there's a new season, there's a new series of the Lost in Space remake, so people might get that reference. Nice. But anyways, unfortunately, there's no kind of union for everything out there, that is watching
Right.
people's backs that sign up. And I mean, there is for actors, but there's not. I mean, there's probably something for musicians, but not at the like local DJ, local artist, performing artist level. I mean, there is, but then they're like, we just won't go with that because we're gonna get somebody cheaper over here. It's unfortunate that they pick it like that, but now social media.
It comes down to like there's so much talent everywhere, so it really has to be about giving as many people as possible a chance to express themselves artistically, as opposed to cherry picking the few that get to do everything. And that's a tricky balance. So,
and that was one of the original concepts of the DJ sessions, was a show that would show our local talent DJs that were really phenomenal. And then it sort of became the artist would be the eye dressing, the eye candy, like, hey, look, we got this big name artist, but I really wanted to focus and give the DJs. Now everyone knows how to web stream live, get a webcam, put their computer on, get OBS, and go to Twitch, and yay, I got a channel.
Right.
16 years ago, they didn't know video production. People didn't know that side of it. So I came in as the video producer with all the cameras and the studio stuff. They came in with their CDJs or their CDs and played, or turntables sometimes, and played on the show. As far as influences go, who would you say has been your biggest influence as an artist when it comes to your career, and why?
That question. I have so many because, like I said, growing up listening to my dad, it was Elvis and oldies and, rock and roll. And then through high school and college, it was musical theater, like a background in that. And then as I entered the electronic scene, there's the Jeff Bryden, there's the Gabriel and Dresden, like these artists that their songs are going to be good forever because they're at their core. They're amazing songs. They're amazing vocalists and songwriters. So it's just been a mix. Yeah, no like one particular person.
I know sometimes I ask questions and they stump people. Sometimes I know it's a difficult question to answer, and I'll jump on that with you, because some people ask me what's my favorite episode. I'm like,
right.
I have 2,700. Like every single one has been awesome. And I have a good friend of mine. He always asks me, do you ever go back and watch your old work? And I'm like, no, if I did that, just watching, I'd have to, even if I watch 4 videos a day, that'd be what, 600 days I'd have to watch.
It'd be a lot of time. Yeah.
Like, even if I put it on the background and it ran for 8 hours a day, it'd still take me through what?
Which is why everyone watching this should go to all of our archives.
All of our archives, absolutely.
Watching all of your lyrics, all of your shows.
Yeah.
That'll be the rest of your summer. Yeah.
I made a nice search feature on our website. So if somebody wants to see if an artist is there, they can just type in the search field, see if they pop up or not. That's kind of nice. I just added a new ranking calendar in. We're adding some more stuff in there. But I made it easy. We haven't had everyone in the world. We're working on it. There's 20,000 DJs in our list.
Awesome.
It's not that we have 2,700 episodes with 2,700 individual DJs, which would be awesome. But
and the cool thing is when you interview more than one person like that, you get an interesting juxtaposition of people that maybe wouldn't normally appear next to each other. Like when I did my show, I'd have Thievery Corporation and then a trance vocalist, and it was like just them next to each other made for a very interesting listening experience.
And that's something that really falls into, again, I was going to touch base. We do silent disco events. I'm a foodie. So my favorite type of thing is an all you can eat buffet. And I like being able to, like, you wouldn't really mix these foods together on a plate. A chef wouldn't do that, but Darren will. Just like yesterday, I had calamari, I had ribs, I had a hamburger, and I had a steak with baked potato, all on the table. Not just for me. I had a friend with me.
But there's also the disco part.
What?
Disco buffet?
No. I was just saying, like, that's how I eat is I like to have a bunch of different things to choose from.
Yeah, I thought it was also
disco. When we do our silent disco events, I can have, a house, a techno, a trance, a drum and bass, all on the same stage, performing together, and people can choose what they want to listen to. But again, when we would do our shows in the studio, it wouldn't be. First of all, it wasn't the Darren Bruce show. Look at me, everyone. It was, let's highlight these DJs. But I could have a house DJ coming and playing. The next DJ could be a techno DJ. And the next DJ could be a trance DJ. But they normally would not play together at all because they're all playing their different elements. But on a Wednesday night, they'd come over to my studio. We put each one of them on. And I wouldn't care about trying to just say, oh, this is a house music show, or this is a trance only show. Or, not that I have anything about single solo genre shows. I don't want to get beaten up for that. I just believe a smorgasbord is better. And you're right. I could have different interviews with different people all over the world now. It's awesome.
And even as inspiration, thinking, my day job nowadays, I'm a teacher, and my students in the spring, a group of them wrote a song together, and I think it's probably the first song we've ever written. I don't know what their influences are, but it was one of the best things I've ever heard. And so it's hard to pick one influence, because I'm always being influenced by, I think, maybe just people with something to say, and this kids, these had something to say, and it was catchy, and it was poetic, and it was the way they performed it was so heartfelt, and it made me cry, and just like, that's music. So that's
and you actually have made a shift to doing more children's music as well within your career. What was the reasoning behind that shift, or was there always a passion back in the end, or was like
I've always loved working with kids. So I was working as a nanny, as a camp counselor, as a theater director, teaching theater classes, creating after school curriculum, and just kind of piling up song ideas. And so maybe 10 years ago, I did a Kickstarter that kind of dates me now, and raised money from lots of fans who were really supportive of the idea, and worked with some collaborators from EDM, and made a whole album with those ideas. And I thought it would just be like a one-off thing. But then I started to do performances based off of that album, and I created kind of like a whole show around it. And I just fell in love. Like, I'm still doing those shows today. I've probably done 1,000 of them. They're always a little bit different, all different ages. Come to them. We have so much fun. And I'm still making music. I just created a banana band project, which I got very obsessed with in February. I was sick with the flu and home for like 7 days by myself. And then I realized I had this idea from a long time ago for a banana band song. And so I just started making it. And then now I have 4 songs that the banana band does. It's a whole like little vehicle for a certain side of myself, and I'm loving it.
Now, the banana band, that you said you have a now, when you say vehicle, do you mean an actual vehicle, or a vehicle is in a...
No, that'd be cool. Yeah. Now I'm driving around in a banana car. No, it's no, I mean like a vehicle to express like certain musical ideas. Okay. Now I have a whole band, and they can explore some ideas musically and lyrically, and have some fun with it.
Now, if you knew me if you knew me in 2007, between 2007 and 2010, I couldn't stop. There probably wasn't a conversation that I didn't have that probably 25% of every conversation I had was talking about getting this glass box truck and making it a mobile studio. Like everything. If I got the glass box truck, we had the glass box. And finally in 2010, we ended up getting the glass box truck studio. So when you said a vehicle and made a banana vehicle, I was like, wow, I know what it's like to think about dreaming about a car and a vehicle and getting a vehicle.
I mean, I do kind of want to dress up like a banana with people and perform these songs, but it's harder than you'd think to find people who are willing to just quit their jobs and go on tour with that. Working on it.
Yeah. Speaking of videos, we're going to try something new here on the show.
Yeah.
We got a couple of videos we'd like to show our guests. Which one would you like to show first and talk about it?
You can show a little bit of Never Enough. That was a
Never
really
Enough.
fun
We'll start with
project.
Never Enough. We can come back and look at the live performance.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a quick peek at the video right now, and we'll come back and talk about that. Marcie Joy on the DJ Sessions Virtual Sessions, first ever, taking a video shot of Never Enough by Marcie Joy. We'll be right back.
I recognize Boston.
Tell
scene, yes.
Yeah, that was awesome. We've never done that before the show. Tell us
That's
about
cool. Thank you.
Never Enough.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about the behind the lyric. Tell us what was
Yeah.
behind the making of the song, the video, and
Well, the song idea I came up with on an airplane, and to my, embarrassment, I think the opening lyrics are "Temptation 30,000 miles high," which worked beautifully as a lyric, but it never occurred to me that it's not miles until like people pointed it out. It's actually in feet. I was way off on my, but poetically it ended up working out very nice. But in my head, it was actually I thought I was being mathematically correct. Um, yeah, just this idea that people are, an airplane might be a place where people make an illicit connection with someone and imagine how life might be different. But maybe they already have a life that's really quite wonderful, and just this human nature sometimes to feel like whatever you have isn't enough, or to compare yourself with other people, and how that can kind of lead you maybe down a path that would cause you to lose what you do have. So, or inspire you to, to reach out and take what you should take. So that was the idea behind the song. And then the video.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, we.
Sorry. I was gonna say I love 30,000 miles. I think that's great.
Yeah,
That's
in
like outer space, and you're
way out there.
Spaceship, like you're getting the 30,000 mile view. I like.
It's figurative. It's not literal miles. It's emotional miles. But yeah, no. So we did the video, and there's this beautiful bridge between Charlestown and Boston. So that's where the opening scenes were shot, and then we did some of it live at a club. Had people come out. I had a gig there that night, but they came out earlier, and we filmed the scene, and it was really fun. Running around the city. We got in a little bit of trouble in a couple of locations because we weren't supposed to film, and that's the running is actually probably running. So that was
I
fun.
can relate.
I've done a couple of videos like down in the by the train stations and stuff too, and you always have to kind of do real quick. We got one take, people. Let's go. So
I can totally relate to that. Run and gun and
super fun
before security gets you. Awesome. Well, were you directing on that, or did you work with a team, or where was
I was a team. That was a team. Alex Edmond, he did the directing, so we really had to rely on him to help us refine our vision. I think at the time, Anthony and I had come up with storyline, and then it just depends on what you can actually make happen. I tend to imagine the miles high and the sort of abstract things that it would be difficult to tangibly film. So a lot of video ideas I've had in the past haven't always been realistic, with the budget and the constraints that we have. But so it ended up being a little bit more of a straightforward story, which it came out amazing. I was super happy with it. It was on promo only. It got distributed and played at different clubs and stuff. So it was fun.
And we do have another video of a live performance. Before we show that, can you tell us a little bit about that live performance video and what that's all about?
Yeah, I was really fortunate to perform at Luminosity in Utrecht. I don't know how many live vocals they've had at the Luminosity events over the years. I do feel really fortunate to have had that opportunity. I think I did maybe 18 songs in 20 minutes or something. I did a medley of a lot of different things, and I think this particular video I didn't even know existed until maybe last year when it showed up on YouTube, and I was so excited because everybody had phones, right? Back then, but it wasn't. No one was live streaming, so a lot of that footage never appeared. It was a really fun event. It was one of those times I got to meet a lot of people in person. I think that's where I finally met Dennis Shepard. It was such an amazing experience.
And this is a video, just to make sure, this is a video coming from a person in the audience via their phone.
Yeah.
So I want to preface that for people out there, let them know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think that's this one. I mean, I have other ones too, but I think that was this one.
Would there be a title of this, or just at Luminosity, this is your live performance?
I think I might be singing Love Letters, which is a track I did with Damien S., who's from Holland.
Well, let's check it out, see how it goes, and we'll be right back. And this is Marcie Joy at Luminosity. What year was this again?
2010?
Okay.
11, I think. Yeah.
Awesome. We'll be right back after checking out Marcie Joy at Luminosity.
Speaking in code and we're walking the line, and we are forever falling behind. Stop for attention, a lover's affection, just a passing glance. Your honesty is too much to digest in all one night. So please excuse me while I wash it down with a glass of cheap wine. See, I'm in love with shadows cast upon a void, and I'm indebted to
That was
one
awesome. That audio
man.
sounded perfect. I was a little concerned.
Yeah, right?
We
Yeah.
didn't preview it before show. I was like, oh no. That was awesome. And that was all live vocals in a show that had never really been done before.
I mean, I like I said, it's not that common for us trans vocalists to get to perform live. Maybe a little bit more nowadays, or maybe even a little less nowadays. There was sort of a window where it was happening a lot, and I feel like the industry may have even gone backwards. So yeah, I got to perform there. I performed in Jakarta. I performed at Miami Music Week a few times, and like a bunch of other places getting to do this music. But then of course my songs have been many more places than I've gotten to go. So that's okay. They have their wings and their stars.
No, a great question I typically ask producers on the show, artists on the show is, where's the most interesting or weirdest place you've ever heard one of your tracks play?
Ooh. Well, I had a song used for the first iPod powered vibrator ad way back when. So that was interesting.
What year was that?
I think that was right around probably the time you were at Winter Music Conference, 2010
2009?
maybe. It was the Oh My God. Yeah, maybe.
I didn't do an interview with you back then, did I?
You might have. I don't remember.
I don't. Were you
That
were
would be
going on Marcie
amazing.
Joy back then?
Well, probably just Marcie. But yeah.
I was at a pool party in 2009. I swear, Oh My God was at that pool party.
Was it
That's
Cedar?
where I
It might
was
have been the
interviewing.
Cedar Sun party. The CNC Music Factory guy was there.
Which one?
I was doing it was the Cedar Sun party, I think. CNC Music Factory. The rapper from that group was there. It was fun. I don't know, but yeah. So they may have, because there was like the rage of sort of
No, I remember
MP3
specifically. Oh
powered
My God had
vibrator
a
companies.
table. Yeah, and
Because I was like, yeah, my song was in that. I was in their ad, and they were the first, and there were these new companies coming up, and they kept giving me like samples. So I was like wandering around Miami in the bag. So that was, I can't complain, but it was weird.
yeah, I didn't get a chance to get an interview with them. But yeah, I do remember that. I totally remember that. Wow.
That's quite possible. I have to admit, I was never much of like a drinker or anything, or I didn't, never done anything like that. But I didn't sleep much that week. I was so excited, and so after maybe the first 4 days, I was just a little delirious. So we may have done an interview while I was very sleep deprived. You'll have to try to find it.
I was trying to see if I could pull up an internet search on Marcie Joy ITVNW, but it didn't pull up. But let's see if that would have been so crazy. I thought I would have recognized somebody that's been on the show though. You would have been like, oh, you look like the guy that was in Miami 16 years ago. Like,
right? No, yeah. Well, again, like I remember I had stayed up all night. And I almost didn't go to that pool party, but I was scheduled to do all these interviews, and so I just rallied and went through and did all the interviews for Behind the Lyric, which was great, but I was so tired.
Because even you were doing Behind the Lyric at that. When was the years Behind the Lyric?
2007 till about 2016. And I really only
so familiar too. I can't believe I'm not figuring out why I'm not pulling up. But
so I really only stopped that show sort of through it wasn't like an intentional break. Well, that's a funny use of the word. I actually broke my kneecap in 2016, and that was like that's a pretty serious injury, so it was pretty life-changing. And you'd think you'd just be like, laid up, recovering. It'd be a great time to do stuff online, but it's not how that recovery from the injury like that works. I had to learn to walk again, and it took a couple years, and I was getting sick a lot, so my immune system was messed up, and I had to find work, and I had to find housing, and there's my earbud. Where did it go? Sorry, I'll pick it up. And it sort of delayed like the amount of work I could put into that show, and which was sad because I lost momentum on that.
Yeah, I definitely know after years of doing this that I burnt out a few times where I just didn't want to. I just went through an 8.5-month hiatus of kind of like, what am I doing? I did no front end stuff. People are like, where did Darren go? I mean, I was usually a lot on.
Sometimes you have to take care of your health. You have to take care of yourself. Yeah.
And and it was kind of a turning point. I had to figure out some stuff with my back end, like to get my stuff back in career, that momentum, that bubble when you write it. And restarting can be even harder than starting. This again, and I got to do this again, and I don't want to do this again. Okay, now I'm back to the mix and everything's going again. Yeah. And I really relate to that. It's tough.
Yeah.
But it's good that you're here back, and you find that your career path can take a few different changes, and you're still like you find out like what you're doing with the children's projects and teaching and things of that nature. It's like maybe that's where your course was supposed to go.
Yeah, I mean, as long as I'm singing, I'm happy. And then I had, last summer I found out that a vocal that I had written was featured in the special that South Park put out, the End of Obesity special. There's things that pop up. I guess that's another strange place to hear my voice or my music, because I had written vocal samples for autotune, working with Jason Donnelly, who's an amazing artist in his own right, and we had sent the samples out, and will they ever be used? There's so many samples out there, and then to hear one being used on South Park was kind of awesome and unexpected, and it was exciting, and it kind of like lit a fire under a bit for me to like finish that song and like do other things and explore like a few new ideas that I had kind of let go on the back burner. So.
Mm-hmm.
You never stop. It's just like the momentum or the motivation or why you're doing it.
I think one of the toughest things that people, if you're not on the artist side of the fence, or most people, let's just say the people that work a day-to-day job and they get to leave stuff at the office, and then come home and have their downtime life, their weekend life, weekend warrior, whatever you want to call it. When you're running your own business, you're your own artist, it's 24/7, especially when you're collaborating with people around the world. And, I'm talking to people. I had a conversation this morning that I was supposed to take at 9 a.m., but it's 5 o'clock in the UK, or working with people in Germany or Tokyo. Sometimes it's backwards and they're all in Australia or Tokyo or something. And it's like how to meet those times and make sure. But I kind of drive it to make it around my time for my health, because of, maybe one interview with somebody that might be on their time, but I can't be doing things at 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning. It's like, and if I did that I actually had that happen to me in 2022. I had like opened up my outreach and had like 49 interviews in the first month, like hour-long interviews. And then next month was like 43. And then the next month was like 57. I'm like, okay, I got to do something to control this because it's getting out of hand. And I wasn't even eating. Like we didn't have time to eat lunch and stuff. It was great on the success, but not health wise. But I mean, being able to orchestrate everything that goes on in the background, and what the demand when you're doing it at the level you're doing it, you're not at a hobby level anymore. You're at a professional level, especially if you're getting, the artists that you've worked with in the past, they're expecting results too. Or, they're going to be like, see ya, bye. You got to be professional, be on point, be up to date, be on time, and deliver. And
every project I do, like, you can't necessarily ride the coattails of things you've done in the past. Everything has to be top notch. And so if there's a period of time where I've taken off from singing and then I go right back to it, I'm going to be like, oh, Marcie, like, you need to take a couple weeks to get your voice back. Like, you need to, or you need to sit down and really make this a priority. Otherwise, it's not going to be the level of work that I hold myself to is for something I really want to put out. So, yeah.
Would you recommend a career as a DJ and or produce? I know you don't DJ, but producing or vocals. Would you recommend that to young kids to pursue, not just music in general? I mean, as a passion and perfecting that, but as working in, say, the electronic music industry, would you say, hey, start at a young age, get in, go for it? Or,
I mean, I don't know, because with AI and everything that's happening, I don't know if there's going to be an industry. So it's hard to make any recommendations. I think I recommend everybody to be like doctors and, scientists and environmentalists and things that are really gonna, teachers even, like just things that are really gonna help save whatever's going on in our world right now and keep us, as a civilization proactive and strong. But I would never say don't pursue your passion. I think people absolutely should make art always, because art is also a powerful change maker. But maybe separate art from an industry or a commercial venture, because I don't know how profitable it really is financially, but it's definitely worth it as far as building a society and building community and people, being able to share their talents. Sure.
And to those that are already in the industry, with your knowledge, your wisdom, and years of experience, is there something you'd like to say to new and up-and-coming producers, artists, vocalists, to watch out for when it comes to making their career successful?
I think you have to get used to rejection. I think I've been saying, like, the only way to combat rejection is to have a lot of fires going at the same time, right? Like, this idea didn't take off, whatever. I have 35 other things I'm excited about right now, and maybe none of them take off, but it doesn't matter because there's something else coming up. Like, you're never going to run out of ideas. So you might feel that way, but you're not. So, like, don't marry an idea. Put your best work out there and learn from whatever you can from it. And then if the greater population doesn't dig it, like, move on. You've grown as a person. So, and again, maybe you've made a connection with someone, or you've explored something about your artistry that you hadn't touched on before. So, yeah, that's just my advice. Like, just keep plugging. Don't necessarily try to make what you think you're supposed to make. Make what you want to make.
That's a great piece of advice. I just got the phone call with a friend, my best friend of over 30 years this morning, and telling him, one of the paradigm shifts I went through with that 8-month hiatus was I was putting a lot of pressure on me to get some things accomplished with the DJ sessions. And I should have been focusing on other business goals, and those would hit me and I'd be like, and I'm a pretty upbeat, outgoing, positive person anyways, but I would still take them internally. Whereas today, the same conversation I was having if I approached somebody and wanted to do a business deal with them, and I literally was telling my friend right off the cuff, if something happens, okay, if this doesn't happen, it's not going to crush me. I don't think it's like their loss and I'm all up here and they're getting the golden egg and they're passing up on it. But I'm like, less work on my plate to not have to do that project. I'll go do this over here. If that just doesn't work, I'm not going to put so much effort into something that may or may not
and
happen.
Truthfully, when I was, booking my own tours and managing and writing contracts and all that kind of stuff, like, there was not a lot of time to actually do the art and the music. And that's not that I didn't like everything about it, but that's very draining. And it pulled away from sort of my zest for life. And so, yeah, like, sometimes you just have to focus on what the passion is without worrying about the outcome. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then once I switched into education, I've thrown myself into that for many years, like, with as much gusto as I ever did in my music career, and with amazing results. I love it, and it's incredibly fulfilling. So, whatever you put your passion into, you will feel fulfilled, I think.
Absolutely. And having the free knowledge and control and wisdom to be able to do that, I'm sure helps out a lot. You're not always running around. You're seasoned. That's what I'm seasoned. Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to sound like I'm old and I'm getting a great. There's a little salt and pepper here. But
all that glitters is not gold, right? It's not the same.
Yeah. And I try to, always maintain a philosophy. It used to be 98% of the information that I knew I'd give away freely. I just wouldn't give away like my Rolodex, my top level C-level contacts and stuff like that. because everything's out there. I would just want to help somebody get there faster. You know, if they could, where do I go to find this out? And they're not searching and spending 3 or 4 or 5 months, days, whatever, weeks. I can go here, get this. I've done all this research. This is what you want to do. They're like, whoa, that totally advanced me. Whoops, that advanced me way further. It's my big jug of, yes, you can.
Ooh, I like that. Is this Stanley? It's not Stanley.
It's just water.
That's what happens in the classroom. Students are out, everyone has this like a metal water jug and they drop them, you know, not on purpose.
Oh,
soundtrack of my day. It's like go. So you're trying to teach. So, and sometimes I'll drop it, and I'm like,
well, you know, a couple last questions before we let you go here. If somebody were to write a biography about you, what do you think the title should be?
Well, I have a phrase I like to say: embrace the absurdity. Which I think I adopted around the time I broke my knee, because sometimes when you have a major life catastrophe, it leads to a succession of other catastrophes because you're struggling to rebuild and things can sometimes get a lot worse before they get better. And if you can't find the humor in it, you will lose your mind. And so sometimes it just felt like I was fighting with the universe, like punching it, and it was absurd. And if I couldn't embrace the dramatic shifts that my life had taken, I would lose my mind. So embracing absurdity, or find the funny, or I don't know.
No, that
Something
works.
like that.
It works. I don't know if you've ever been pitched a book deal before, or bought a biography or autobiography.
Marcie.
I've always talked about people over, at least for the past 25 years, about writing a book about the nightlife industry. Even if I finally accomplish my coffee table book that I want to do, called To Do, and it literally would just be it'd be about my
to-do list. Coffee table book with to-do list.
Trust me, there's a whole nother thing, and it's all dated and have like excerpts and little bullet points and things in there. I'll get to it one day when I get a bunch of money, and I'm like, okay, now it's time to publish.
That's a really good idea.
You know, and just kind of like the history of the making of an executive producer or something like that. Like, To Do. Don't steal my title, anyone. If you're watching. It's a good idea, dude.
That's the idea. It'll be like Leonardo da Vinci's sketches, but didn't he like sketch out a helicopter hundreds of years before? And, like, all of our to-do lists and sketches. I love it.
No, and because it really, you know, it's very interesting, because you look at one of my to-do lists, and one word could mean so much, but one word could mean do the laundry. If it just says laundry, it's like, that means do the laundry. If it's like,
you can do it during your interviews. Interview me and do your laundry at the same time. I don't care.
The laundry sessions. Now you just gave me a whole nother show out of 7 that I already produced. Okay.
One thing I could be doing, yeah.
Well, we do have a series that I've been wanting to launch for a while called the Beats and Eats series, and because I cook and I'm a foodie and all that fun stuff. And
now I'm going to do an interview in person so you can cook for me.
Anytime you let me know, we can do it virtually. Yeah. Maybe you prep something, I prep something. Totally,
that'd be amazing.
Don't tempt me. I will produce
Everything it. Would be like on fire though, because I'm not a great cook. So it'd be very different screens. Be me with like the fire extinguisher and you eating something delicious.
Oh, that'd be no. You know what we did? We set up a remote fire extinguisher. So if that's something does happen, I can press a button here in Seattle and it activates the fire extinguisher there.
I would feel safer, honestly. So.
You know, you just gave me a totally awesome concept for a show. Oh my gosh. What if we had like robotic stuff here, but you could like go and you program the thing and it scoops the ingredients here on my end and puts them into the dish, but I push the buttons and it makes the dish for you over there, but you make a dish for me over really here, cool. But it's all done with like robotics and stuff or something.
I like it.
Mystery dish. You tell me to grab stuff from my cupboard and then I grab stuff from your cupboard.
And you're blindfolded. So you're just wandering around with me robotically controlling your hands. Yeah. With the fire extinguisher button. Yep.
Awesome. All right. Yeah. You know, we got to
just walking into the wall repeatedly.
No, I mean, you got to be careful with me because I am the type of person that would be like, that's a totally new show concept. Let's do it. You know?
Well, like I said, embrace the absurd.
We got to make sure we get you a credit on it as you know, his producer, co-producer, something. I'm not one to just take credit for something and take it if I do produce it. Marcie, I'm producing that cooking show. You got to get on board right now.
I'm right there with you.
Okay, we'll work out points and everything on the back end outside of the camera action. All
Whatever.
that stuff.
I'm not that
But
concerned about that stuff anymore.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to let our DJ Sessions fans know before we let you go?
I'm working with a friend of mine to try to put together some acoustic versions of some of my songs and do some recordings. So stay tuned for that. It's kind of interesting to strip them down from their quantized, beat-driven, somewhat varied vocals sometimes form into the storytelling, the sort of the raw storytelling. And my voice has changed over the years too. So like, I think I'm a little bit lower than I used to be, and just it's kind of fun to explore that. And then he's got some songs as well that he's written. So, stay tuned for that. Otherwise, I'm working on a couple of new electronic songs, but mostly just my kid songs right now. But always something. I've always got something going on. If anyone wants to work with me, let's do it. Send me a message. I'm open to ideas. Again, I'm not super concerned these days about commercial monetary outcomes. I just like to connect with people and make things, and it'd be awesome to meet more people. So.
Where's the best place people can go to find out all that information? And
you can go to marciejoy.com. That's my website. My kids' site is kidsmusicbymarcie.com. If you're interested in that. And then I'm on SoundCloud. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. Anywhere is fine.
Awesome. MarcieJoy.com. Check her out and all those past songs, episodes, videos, and more, and the Instagram and the Spotify.
From a gig I ever did, if someone wants to share it, like I'm always like, that's always fun to resurface. Like that Luminosity one.
Yeah, that's the one thing I love about the internet. It's crazy. You can go back and see the first days of when I was streaming live I used to call it dialing for dollars. This is in the early day. Oh, it was my version of doing YouTube. I never liked YouTube. Well, okay, strike that. I love YouTube. I love you, Google. You're awesome team, cool people, whatever. I don't want to lose a sponsorship in the future for saying something wrong. But no, we always saw YouTube as what the TikTok is now. It wasn't for broadcast television shows at the time. And we missed a big opportunity there, but luckily we got a big opportunity doing a video podcast and being one of the first video podcasts in the Apple iTunes store when video iPods first came out in 2005. So that kind of led to our success of going, wow, 300,000 downloads a week. This is awesome. How do we make money at this? Nobody knew because podcasting was so new at that time. There was no way to monetize it really, like with commercials or Nielsen ratings. So, you can go back and see some of those crazy. I keep everything up online. But if you want to find some stuff,
I watched some of the more recent stuff, but I'm really intrigued now to go do a deep dive.
Yeah, submit it online, get it up there online, tag. It's easy to tag people now. That @ mention works wonders, especially if you get them right.
That person, whatever.
Yeah. All right. Well, Marcie, thank you for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure having you. We'll follow up with you here. I'd love to hear more about your children's songs and all that venture as well. We'll follow back up with you. Definitely want to talk to you about possibly doing a cooking show. That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, you're really easy to talk to. So if anyone's considering doing an interview with Darren, go for it. He makes you feel very relaxed, super easy. So
awesome. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to get going here and let everyone know where they can find out more information about us. Obviously, at thedjsessions.com. Find us there. We have over 700 news stories every month, 2,700 plus and counting, past episodes, exclusive mixes, and more. All of our socials are there. You can go check us out in our VR nightclub. It was new a few years back, but we just revamped it a little bit more to get it up and running. Our website is version 3.4 and more coming. We have a mobile app you can download and you can get everything and that. Our store. We're going to be launching a new music section here coming up shortly featuring the artists that you love, hopefully some Marcie Joy stuff, and more at thedjsessions.com. Check us out, thedjsessions.com. Thank you for watching. This is Darren, and that's Marcie Joy coming in from Boston. I'm coming to you from the virtual studios in Seattle, Washington. And remember, on the DJ Sessions, the music never stops.
Yeah, thank you.